Hey friends, Shay here. So today we are in my office and we're just going to quickly talk about the month of February and my reading and how things went. And I'm really pleased with what I got read. So let's go ahead and dive in. First off, I want to talk about my previous video, which was a book of the month, try a chapter. I was able to unhaul some books off of that, which is great. I'm really, really happy and pleased. And yes, so February was a rough month for me. I lost a family member, so the depression was deep. I was also in a very stressful time at work. We were preparing for our yearly inventory. That's all done now. I've been able to say my final goodbyes and everything to the family member that passed. So that's why you didn't really see me much in the month of February. I apologize for that. I just didn't want to drag y'all down with me while I was this deep. So let's talk about what I read in February, because I haven't really talked about things I've completed in February. So quick book stats real fast. We'll talk about the book stuff, then we'll talk about the manga stuff. So I read a total of 8 books, which is pretty good for me. 4 of those were digital via ebook, and the other 4 were audiobooks. I didn't finish any rereads. I am still in the middle of my reread of Rhythm of War. Rhythm of War was a little too in the depressive state for what I was going through in February. I'm making significant progress on that and should be finishing it in the next few days. When it comes to arcs that I read 3. All 3 of those were digital arcs that I had through Libro FM. If you're looking for an alternative to an audiobook outside of like Audible, I highly recommend Libro FM. They're really great. You can attach them to a local indie to you and they will support them and send them money and things like that. So I highly recommend checking them out, so please do that. My average rating for the month was 4.75 stars. So the things that I finished, I ended up really enjoying. So that at least is good. When it comes to my 25 and 25 progress, I only got 1 of them read for this month, but I'm still planning on reading it and catching up. So I'm at 3 of 25 for that. When it comes to my 40 before I turn 40, I'm at 15 of 40. I've got some significant progress to do. So if you want to see me do some specific reading projects based on those reads, let me know down below. And then total pages read in the month were 3,023 pages. So again, I'm not mad at that. Was it my best reading month ever? No, but it was a solidly good reading month. First up, let's just get this out of the way. I read 3 Regine Abel books this month. They were all 5 stars. The first one is I Married a Catman, which was very much based in like pride politics. And I think the way she approached it was really, really good. It scratched the right itch for me and I really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend checking out the Prime Mating Agency series. This one is book 12. I also read book 13 this month, was I Married Amrith. Amrith is a character that we meet in I Married an Incubus. So this is a fellow warden. And this is his romance. This is one that steps out of the box for the series a little bit, which she tends to do in the ones that are just following a designated character. We've had this one other time with Wanjin. I would love for her to go back and actually give us Keog's official story. You do get a lot more Keog in I Married Amrith. So if you love Keog, I highly recommend picking it up. And you get to learn some secrets about his powers that nobody knew about. So it's absolutely fantastic. Really love it. But I really liked the romance in both of those as well. I have more thorough thoughts, but they're just not coming to me. So maybe I'll do a why you read the Prime Mating Agency series kind of video. If you're interested in that, let me know down below. So the other Regine Abel book I read was not part of the Prime Mating Agency series because I'm current on that now, and that is Destined to the Reaper. This is book 2 in the Shadow Realm series. The first one is Destined to the Wraith, which I read this time last year, and this one was also good for me. And this time we're dealing with a Grim Reaper who's like a half Grim Reaper, half other creature. And we get to know more about the family dynamics here and about destined mates and all those kinds of things. It's very, very interesting because basically this Reaper's been enslaved in this dark warlock's body. He's basically a necromancer. And so through his romance, he gets freed. It's really cool. I really like what's happening here. And I had a great time with it. Okay, so we've got 5 other books. I'm going to leave my 6-star read for last. because I will just want to fangirl about it. So we'll leave that for last. So we'll just go in reverse order because that's how we'll hit that one. So the next one I have here is Sworn to the Orc by Evangeline Anderson. This was an audio arc that I got through Libra FM. And this one's just a fun, sweet, curvy girl fantasy romance where her grandmother dies. She inherits her property. And this orc man has been protecting it. He was kind of like a pseudo grandson to her grandmother, but they've always been kind of like destined to be together. And he figures it out before she does. But the way they progress is really sweet and really cute. And I really, really loved it. So I highly recommend checking it out. If you like a good, just fun, sweet kind of romantasy with some spice to it. The next one I have here is the only not romance that I read outside of continuing to reread Rhythm of War, and that is Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. Sorry. My rating might be affected by the fact that I was reading this while I was in my grieving process, but I gave this one 4 stars. This is a historical fiction based in Italy during World War II. We're following an Italian man and his life, and it's literally based on a real person. Some things have been fictionalized by Mark Sullivan, but it is somewhat autobiographical for your main character, and it was beautiful. I really loved it. It really had you looking at the war in a slightly different way than you normally get or normally are perceived, because you're typically in England or you're in France or you are in Germany. You're rarely in other countries, in the ones that are very popular. This one you're in Italy, and I think it worked really, really well, so I would recommend it. Then I read Love and Bloom by Lucy Eden. I gave this one 4 stars. This one was good. The reason why I got 4 stars is the breakup with the ex-fiance wasn't as clean of a breakup initially as I wanted before she's with our male main lead. And then, you know, just the whole premise of the whole town is hiding a weed farm. Just did something to me. I guess I should explain that. So she inherits her grandparents' property. Her parents had started an illegal weed farm because they wanted to find treatment for her sister who was struggling and had problems, but her parents were doctors, so they weren't going to allow that. Her sister ended up passing away because she wasn't getting what she needed to, her sister wasn't getting what she needed to survive, but they never talk about the sister. And so she goes to inherit this property, but there's a man living on site, and he's the one cultivating and taking care of everything, and it's their romance. And I really liked it because she really escaped a toxic situation, and he is an absolute tool bag. So I like the new guy much better. I just wish that the line had been clearer for both of them before they were sleeping together. That's the only thing I wish. And then I've got A Pirate's Life for Tea, which is the sequel to Can't Spell Treason Without Tea. And I really liked this sequel. I thought it was very well done. It was very sweet. And it was just a good time. I mean, the piracy aspect, the reason why the character was a pirate made complete sense to me. And I really, really enjoyed that. And I really love Keanth and Rain. I think they're a fantastic couple, and I really like the direction of their relationship in this one, and I'm really excited for the next book. All right, so now we are to the 6-star read of the month, and that is Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. Did I know that I needed this book in my life? No, not at all. Would 20-year-old me have been in love with Lucas? Absolutely. I think Ali Hazelwood approached this one great. This is about a swimmer and a diver. It's their romance, and the way their romance comes about is really interesting because it's all centered around they both want certain things in the bedroom, and they end up sharing it with those that they have those interests to the same person, so that person kind of lines them up. But this person is also Lucas's ex-girlfriend. So it's really interesting. It does have that moment about 3/4 of the way through where she gets jealous and wants him back, but he very clearly lays the line down with her, and our female main character also does that. Now, when it comes to the level of kink explored, it is on the lighter side, but I think that's very appropriate for their age. It's like they know they want to try things, so they have this list that they share. They both want to try the exact same things, so they're well suited in that way because they can explore it as they're more comfortable with each other. And I think the way this is done, because it's all based on communication and enthusiastic consent. That is why this book works for me, because if you're going to be exploring any sort of sexual relationship with any human, it should always be about communication and enthusiastic consent. I will die on that hill. And this book very much depicts that very clearly. I really, really love it. And I now need to read Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood, because that is the only Ali Hazelwood that I haven't read outside of the novellas, because I heard the novellas were really not going to be something I enjoyed. So I didn't bother. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at there. Manga-wise, I don't have my stats all together yet, but I read quite a bit. So we're just kind of briefly go through my thoughts on those. We're not going to spend too much time on any of it. So I read 4 volumes of 365 Days to the Wedding. I read volumes 3 through 6. I did acquire 5 and 6 through the month. But we're going to do a separate haul because that's just going to be too much. This series is progressing in the cutest way, and I really, really love it. Yes, initially they're lying, but like they come clean about the lie before about halfway through. And now it's just going to be them exploring a relationship together. And I'm really excited about the direction of it. Then I read volumes 3, 4, and 5 of Reincarnated Witch Spells Doom. Again, this is one that I'm really loving the trajectory of the series. I think it's very well done. I think this is a series that a lot of people are kind of sleeping on because this girl didn't learn how to control her powers. We find out something further in and we understand why it's easier for her to control her powers around this prince who ends up being the love interest. And I really like the direction it's headed. It's giving me Queen's Quality vibes. So if Queen's Quality is your jam and you haven't tried Reincarnated Witch Spells Doom, I highly recommend you do. So I did read the final volume of Delinquent Daddy and Tender Teacher. It's volume 6. And I really loved the conclusion of this. I think it ended in a really sweet place. You do get a bit of a jump forward. And I really just loved the way everything played out. I thought it was so fun and so sweet. And it was just such a good, fun BL. And I'm so glad it's one of the first series that I finished in the year. And it was just a good time. Okay, I know I'm going through these super fast. I'm so sorry. I also read 3 volumes of The Moon on a Rainy Night. This is a sapphic romance with a girl who is almost completely deaf. She's lost the majority of her hearing. And she wears hearing aids, and it's about her romance with a girl who they end up crossing paths because she's taking piano lessons from the deaf girl's mother. And the deaf girl used to be an amazing pianist, but she doesn't really play anymore because she's losing her hearing. So it's really sweet and heartwarming, and I just really love the direction of it. So if you haven't tried this series, I do recommend checking it out. Then I did read the 2 volumes that I had of Wand Dance. That's volume 6 and 7. As you guys know, I really love this series. As a former like theater kid and dancer and things like that, this one probably speaks to me in different ways than it will to others. But the thing that I respect the most about this series is the art style. The art style in Wand Dance is amazing and beautiful and very much centered on the beats within the music, and you can see it within the art to where you can like hear it. And it always gives you the song. So if you ever want, you can just like play the song while the dancing is going on in the manga, and it makes so much sense. It's so good. Again, one of my favorite series. I'm thoroughly enjoying it. So I have a couple of volume 1s that I tried and DNF'd. So let's quickly go through those. So I have The Magical Girl and Evil Lieutenant Used to Be Arch Enemies. I was really hopeful with this one, but it ended up being 4 coma, and it's the weird, like, choppy 4 coma. Not something that continues all the way through pretty easily like Love's Insight. So yeah, this one didn't quite work for me. I'm super sad about it because I was really excited about it. Next I have Hikaru in the Light. This is just very much a basic idol series. Granted, it's published by Scholastic, so I was really hoping to love it because I want to support Scholastic in publishing manga. But this one just didn't quite work for me. If it works for you, kudos to you, and I hope you continue to enjoy it. It just did not work for me. The next one here is This the Kind of Love I Want. Like, the dynamic of this one was icky from the word go for me, so I just didn't on that one. So I'm okay to let that one go. Ones that I read but I did not purchase. One of them is Glasses with a Chance of Delinquent, which will probably surprise some people. But this is one that I'm either going to be collecting digitally or I'm going to be just like sitting in the bookstore and reading, because it wasn't necessarily offering me anything that other series I'm collecting isn't offering me. And it didn't do anything to stand out for me. I think that's the big difference there. Beautiful Things is the next one that I read but didn't purchase. This one, I needed like 2 more chapters just for it to resolve itself, because it got to a point where you're finally resolving the main conflict and it just ended. I was so upset that I just didn't want to spend my money on it, because I was really enjoying the story up to that point. Because this is essentially about a man who starts cross-dressing after a breakup, and then one of his coworkers ends up meeting him and they have a connection, and it's really sweet, and they start to pursue a relationship, but the guy who's dressing as a woman hasn't come clean and told him about who he really is. And once he does, like, it takes time for the other guy obviously to wrap his mind around the situation, because he thought he was in love with a woman, but he wasn't. And it just takes some time. And I really just appreciated what the story was doing. It took a significant amount of time. It wasn't just making it all happen within 2 weeks. I mean, like, years went by, and it's really well done. I highly loved it. I'm just so sad it ended so poopily. Urgh. Anyway, I've heard there's a light novel about this, so I'm going to see if I can track that down. The next one I have here is Too Close to Fall in Love. This is kind of like adult step-sibling situation where their parents meet as they're adults and they all end up living together. I ended up really enjoying it quite well, but it's not one I think I'd revisit or reread a lot. And it was just a single volume, so that's why I didn't end up picking that one up. The next one I have here is Cherry Blossoms After Winter. And this is just a not for now purchase. This is a very bullying forward male story. And the art is amazing. This is a manhwa, so I might see if I can read it digitally and get a little further and make sure I like the progression of it before I purchase it. Because it's essentially like, this could stay really good, or it could go super crappy super fast, is kind of the impression I was getting with it. Which is why I didn't end up purchasing that one. And I think those are all the ones that I didn't purchase or already own. So, the next one that I did purchase after reading was Takahashi from the Bike Shop. This one was so freaking cute. I loved it so very much. If you like a good josei romance, Takahashi from the Bike Shop is that romance. So she's 30, he's 26. He kind of looks like a delinquent, but he's very sweet. He notices her bike brakes, because she rides her bike to work past his shop, squeak. And so he's like, hey, your brakes are squeaky. Why don't you bring them by the shop? I'll fix it up for you. Something else happens, and so he ends up fixing her bike anyway. And things just develop in a slow and beautiful way, and I cannot wait for volume 2. I need my grubby hands on it right now. The next one I have here is Wild Beast Forest House Volume 1. I ended up reading this and really enjoying it. I read the whole thing in its entirety in the bookstore, but I really liked the trajectory of the series. I think it's going in a really good and healthy direction. We get a chance for one of our heroes to face their abuser and to confront it in a way that is healthy and positive and putting up boundaries. And it was just very well done. I really liked what was happening there. It's essentially like human-like animals living in kind of a sanctuary so that they can't be hunted. And it's about all their interactions together. So it's done in a really good way. Next, I have Stray Cat and Wolf Volumes 2 and 3. There's not a release date for Volume 4, so I'm dying a little bit inside. There's at least 6 out in Japan, so I know we're getting more. It's just a matter of when. By the way, if you haven't tried the Blackberry new Dr. Pepper, highly recommend. I love the zero sugar version for myself. But yeah, still loving Stray Cat and Wolf. Really love the direction. Because she's been presented an option to not be living with him. And they try that out, and it's not working for both of them, so they decide to still live together. And the adults taking care of her are now aware of it, and it's working really well. So I really love the trajectory of that. Next, I have The Elegant Courtly Life of the Tea Witch. This one is just a really sweet, really cute witch kind of in hiding, protecting her powers, working for the royal court. And there's sapphic undertones to this, but it does not go in a sapphic direction. We looked it up because we were both like, oh my gosh, if this is sapphic, we're dead. It just has those undernotes. It's not actually sapphic, which makes me a little sad, but still very, very good. Highly recommend checking that one out if you haven't. I did read My Boyfriend is a Dog Volume 2. I really loved Volume 1. I read that in January. Volume 2 was equally as cute, and we still have the other couple. The couples are making progressions as we go. Still really thoroughly enjoying it. I also continued with Hate Me But Let Me Stay. I ended up picking up and reading Volume 3. Super, super good. Highly recommend the series. This is Omegaverse, so if you don't like Omegaverse, obviously it's not going to be your thing. But I feel like they're progressing in a way with the series, like everyone is in their adulthood, everyone's taking care of each other, and I just really like that it's showing an adult relationship in a healthy way. That will always tick my box. That will always be something I want. But next I have My Dear Detective, and I read Volume 1 and I cried in the bookstore. I read the first chapter of that stupid series. It's not stupid, it's amazing. And I cried because it features a character who in 1920s Japan is essentially transgender, and it's about them presenting that part of themselves to the person they love and them learning to accept that. Like, that's kind of what the mystery is all centered around, and it's gorgeous and I love it and highly recommend reading it because there is not enough manga doing that. The next one I have here I did purchase, and that is the Otaku Love Connection. So this one is kind of a quirky little manga, but I love it for it. So there's the it couple at school, the really cute girl, the really cute guy, they're into each other. And then there's this other couple. They both ship that couple together, and the popular couple ships the other two together. And they are so cute and so sweet and so dorky, and like they stand the little like popular high school couple. It's so hard for me to explain, but like it's definitely worth trying. If you don't feel invested from the get-go, I highly recommend sitting in a bookstore and reading it to make sure you like it, because I could definitely see why people wouldn't love this one, but I highly recommend it anyway. That should tell you something. So I did finally read The Fragrant Flower Blooms with Dignity Volume 1, and I adored it. It's so sweet. It's so cute. I understand why everybody's super excited about it now, and I will definitely be reading more of this one. I did not purchase it, but that's only because my bookstore didn't have Volume 1, and I'm trying to get some of that fixed in my bookstore. So I purposely ordered it through my bookstore so that I could get it. So I'll be getting it soon. I just don't have it yet. Another one that surprised me was April Showers Bring May Flowers. So you kind of have the mousy, slightly chubbier girl, and she sees the popular boy, and the popular boy notices something that she just does, and because she's a giving person, but she does it early in the morning so no one sees her. He gets to school early and sees her doing it, and it kind of changes their relationship, and that's kind of what the story's all about, and it's so sweet and so cute, and I really, really like the direction of it. And then I did continue on with A Cat from Our World and The Forgotten Witch. I read volumes 2, 3, and 4. Highly recommend the series. Super love it. Can't wait for more. I really need volume 5 to come out sooner rather than later. If it's out, then I'll hunt it down wherever I can. Next, I did read and purchase Firefly Wedding. This is like mafia-style messy kind of stuff, and I'm kind of here for it, honestly. Like, it's so, so good. Just so, so good. Like, I will never get enough of it, I don't think. I think it's so well done. He is just crazy enough to be adorable, but also serial killer level creepy. But like, they walk that line so good. Not all series do, and this one does, and I'm here for it. And then I did catch up in 2 more series with what I have at least. I did volumes 11, 12, and 13 in The King's Beast. I really love the direction of it that we're heading now. And I also really like the fact that we're seeing characters from Dawn of the Arcana, so she is officially sharing the world, and it just makes my heart happy that Ray Toma did that. Just so good. Now, the last one that we're going to talk about is the fact that I read volumes 2 and 3 of Sakura Saku. And I understand now why people dropped the series. This falls into a trope of, you know, the friend of our female heroine gets rescued by the hero, and like the male main character, and she ends up falling for him too. So that trope has happened. This is a common trope for Iozaki Saka, so I can't say I'm surprised here. But I could definitely see why people would stop it at that point, because that makes sense to me. So anyways, that's everything that I read in February. So now that we're so deep into this video, let's talk about March plans really fast. But I'm going to get a sip of my tasty, tasty drink one more time. So good. March reading plans. I want to make progress in as many of my challenges as I can. So there are some books that I've been trying to get read this year, like on previous TBRs. Those are still going to be there. So that's The Dry by Jane Harper, Gravity by Tal Bauer, The River Has Roots by Amal El-Motar, Rebel in the Deep by Katie Robert. I want to finish Rhythm of War. And those are the ones from previous TBRs. So the next one I have here is one that I'll be buddy reading with Izzy over at Happy For Now, and that's Broken by Daylight by Elizabeth Helen. I'm going to be doing some travel this month, and so she and I are going to buddy read that while I travel. Then I'm part of a live show for a T.A. White series, and the first book in the series is Rules of Redemption. I will leave the information right here about the live show, and I'll leave it linked down below. It'll be towards the end of the month. I forget the exact day, but yes. I know I asked it off from work. I want to say it's the 29th. That's what my gut says. It's probably wrong though. And then I want to read Truly Madly Deeply by Alexandra Bellafleur. This is a recommendation from May over at This Past Romance for my 40 Before I Turn 40. So that's why that's on there. I want to finish my reread of Rhythm of War, and I want to read Wind and Truth. Wind and Truth is also on my 40 Before I Turn 40, so I want to get those done hopefully this month, because I'm almost done with Rhythm of War. I might be able to finish it today, if not tomorrow. And then a couple more from my 40 Before I Turn 40 are Rafe by Rebecca Weatherspoon and Melting Snow by Leora Gonzalez. So I think that's going to be what I call my book reading for the month, and I'll just get done what I get done. And from there, when it comes to manga, I think I'm just going to keep focusing on catching up on series. As I do some travel, I will be doing some purchases, which is why you're going to get a haul before I go. And then I'll probably do a haul while I'm out there so that we can kind of slowly ship whatever I purchase back. I'm going with a specific list. I'm not going to mood shop as much as I normally would on my trip. So that's kind of the plan. It cut me off all of a sudden. As you saw, I did some work in my reading journals, and yeah. So let's quickly wrap this up. I'm really excited about March. I do think I'll get a lot more reading done, even though we're 5 days into the month upon filming this video, and I haven't finished a book yet. I have a lot of incentive to get a lot of things finished, and I'll have some more time than I normally would. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And with that said, that's everything for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you are here just because you love me, leave me your favorite green colored emoji for the month of March, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.